On the latest edition of the 32 Thoughts podcast, Elliotte Friedman linked New Jersey, Ottawa, and Toronto to Jacob Markstrom. He has 2 years left in his deal at $6 million a season and a full no movement clause. Do you like that fit?
Markey?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to buddies that are, follow the Flames pretty good. He's a solid goaltender. He's had a little bit of a streak here and there. I do believe he's had some personal issues with, wife and family stuff, pregnancy things, and like not to get too into the personal stuff, but I think he's had some personal things go on that could have hindered his performance, especially as a goalie, where every little mistake is so highlighted and every little loss of focus and things can really start to snowball on you. But people believe he's a top 10, possibly top 5 goaltender. I want it to be a guy who is rock solid between the ears. It's a difficult market to go into. If you get a guy that's been streaky or fighting it or maybe on the decline or on the back nine of his career and you throw him in Toronto and expect him to be this Vezina winner, it just doesn't happen, man. You just got to understand that getting into that market, you have to understand that it's going to be harder to perform than anything. You don't come there and just become this god out of the blue. It's harder to play up to your potential in Toronto than anywhere else. So to get a guy that's streaky or on the decline or something is very difficult. I'm not saying Markstrom is that way, but it would depend on what the deal looks like. What are you giving up? What's the cap situation? I know he makes $6 million a year, which is all right with me. That's what you're gonna have to pay for a high-end goaltender. It's not like it's $9 million or $10 million. And then again, we've talked about on this show how important that position is. I think that you're okay to spend money there. It is the last line of defense. Look at the series that are happening, in the conference finals and beyond. Everyone has got a goaltender. He's always the talk of the game, of the series. Always. It's the most important position in the playoffs. And I don't know why people don't really value that. They think other places, but it's just like, name a average goaltender. I mean, you could say Skinner, but Skinner's been great, especially since he got put back in Vancouver there. And it's I don't know. I have Ullmark that no one's really talking about. A guy that just won the Vezina. He kind of got pushed out by Swayman in Boston to go to their rivals of the Toronto Maple Leafs and try to push them out would be kind of a cool story. And to me, there's a guy that's absolutely rock solid. We've talked about Soros. It depends if you can work it into the Marner trade. If that becomes something, what do you have to give up for him? All over the place, but Markstrom's a very good goalie, no question.
He is. I don't see Ullmark as a fit because I think it's going to be tough for Toronto and Boston to deal. And if I'm the Maple Leafs, it's probably the last team I want to trade with, considering they own me already, like the last 2 decades. And then you're going to trade for their goalie. I just don't think it's a good fit. I think to a degree, I think Markstrom would make a lot of sense. Like, I like the price tag. It's not a lengthy term. He's got 2 years left at $6 million a season. I think he's the type of guy who can push Joseph Woll along. I think in a perfect world, in 2 years from now, Joseph Woll is the guy. He has proven to be the guy. And then you can get like your prototypical backup. So I think from a fit perspective, it works. To your point, like, that is my lasting memory with Jacob Markstrom, is the blow up in the playoffs against the Edmonton Oilers. It's unfortunate to say because I think the last couple of years he's found it again, in between the years. But I just want somebody I can rely upon. And the more and more I read into this situation, the more and more it sounds like the Leafs are going to find another stopgap or another hopeful. Like, they've been linked again to Laurent Brossoit, who was the backup for Connor Hellebuck in Winnipeg, who by all accounts wants to be the number one guy somewhere, or at least fight for the number one job. Unfortunately, there are only so many like high-end goalies in this league that I'm starting to become very, very doubtful they're actually going to grab one. Like, I think Toronto's including this more about getting the price tag up. If there's one thing we learned from Tanev and we learned from all the hoopla around Zadorov and those trades, it's going to be difficult for Toronto and Calgary to make a trade here.
I know. Why do you think that is? Just past relationships and egos and BS like that. Yeah, I know. There was a lot of focus on that. They had some prospects that we needed, not prospects, but some prospective trade bait that we needed on our roster. And, it wasn't like the Leafs were the only team looking at these guys, but we didn't get any of them. It didn't look like they got close. Why that is, you can speculate, but I don't know. When you have past relationships, you think that would either be a good thing or else it'll be a bad thing. And depends on what the relationship is, how things exited and how things ended. I'm not saying anything was ugly or contentious with Tree Living or anything like that, but I mean, you do remember back to the draft when Tree wasn't even allowed on the floor for some unbelievably odd reason, and that was kind of stuck on there by Calgary, was it not? So just weird things going on, which would make you think maybe they're not with the best relationship. But again, I don't care who they deal with or anything like that. But yeah, I want one of those top like 6-7 goalies in the league, just so you can say there. We don't have to have these expectations. We can just trust and leave the guy alone and not have the guy feel like, oh my God, they want me to be Marty Brodeur in his prime. And you know what I mean? It's tough. I want the guy just to be able to go in there, be chill and do his thing, and work on the other aspects of the roster. Because when you do look at Bobrovsky and that team, it's like, how nice is that? How nice would it be if Toronto had that, where you just, you can, the way they play, you can be offensively, gifted and pepper them and then take a kind of a shift off. And what the hell was that? And turnover bad, or oh my God, a breakaway on the power play and they're going to get a shorty and boom, boom. You got a guy that just turns it aside and can kind of get you back on your bearings. So I really have been looking at, Soros, for example, if you can make a deal and get him without giving up anything that you don't want to give up, would be ideal.
Well, that's the other thing too, man, the price tag. A lot of speculation that the Flames want a high-end pick and they want a top prospect. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.